right. How's everyone doing? Can you hear me? Mesdames et messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Wow, it's like I'm speaking to a dead room. Let me try that one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. 3 people responded. Those are the people I paid. But they were supposed to speak to the people around them, so everyone responds. So the third time, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Awesome, such a spontaneous crowd. Completely unprompted. We're about to get started. Where I come from, time is a construct. We used to tell time by the sun. It was not an exact science. So we're still on time, if you catch my drift. We're getting there, soon. But we can have some music in the meantime. Alessandro, hit us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats so we can get started. Good things come to those who wait, as I promised you. Here we are, it's happening. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Africans, one more time, good afternoon. We rehearsed this, guys, we rehearsed this. So let's do it the way we rehearsed it, okay? Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you, and welcome to this special session. This is the one we have been waiting for. It was worth the wait. This is the FSS Plus 4 African session convened by the African Union, Development Agency, AUDA-NEPAD, with support from IFAD, Africa Food Systems Summit, and Academia 2063. My name is Larry Medowo. I'm so excited to be here alongside my colleague Reddy, who will meet in just a second. But I wanted to give a big welcome to our guest up here, His Excellency Kasim Shettima, the Vice President of the Republic of Nigeria. Please also welcome, joining as the UN Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed. Also with us today for this dialogue, Ms. Nardos Bekele, the CEO of AUDA-NEPAD. And on the stage as well is His Excellency Moses Vilakati, the African Union Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy, and Sustainable Development. We have leaders from across the continent who are sitting here for this dialogue, but I want to give a special welcome and mention to the youngest minister, I think, in this group, the Minister for Water and Sanitation from Togo. She's probably younger than some of the youth you'll be hearing from. But now this is the chance for Reddy to explain exactly what we're going to be doing in this dialogue. Reddy.
Thank you very much to my colleague, Larry. Your Excellencies, good afternoon. It's great to be with you today. My name is Ridi Tabi, and I'm a co-moderator with my brother, Larry Madoro. I just want to plant an idea in your mind that this, of all the gatherings you've been attending at this summit, this is the most special. Why do I say this? Because you've got Africa's finest in the room. These are the young people who are driving Africa's economy. These are the young people who hold promise and potential for the development of our beloved continent. They are African youth agri-entrepreneurs. They've started businesses coming from rural Africa, from urban Africa. They've started business not just to make money, because that's also important, but to address some of the continent's most pressing needs. They're not here to have an argument. They're not here to beg. These are young people who understand that through the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, Africa's agriculture has the potential to unlock $1 trillion by 2030. That's something that deserves a round of applause. These are young people who just want a share of this agribusiness. They want you to bring them to the room, to listen to their ideas, to listen to their challenges, and together work towards a pathway to unlock this amazing potential for African agribusiness. So, Your Excellencies, all I'm doing is to encourage you to be open to a dialogue, to perhaps rise above the speeches and the talking above each other, but to listen to each other, to engage with their ideas, to think creatively about how we can together work towards a solution. Do you think we can do that, everybody? They're right here. I'm going to come to you next. Think about your moment, think about your agribusiness, and we're going to hear more about it in just a moment, correct? Great. Larry.
Except from up here, we have told them to keep their speeches short because you want to hear from them. We want them to hear from you, right? Right? Excellent. There it is. Finally, it's working. I just also need to mention that besides the Minister of Water and Sanitation from Togo, we also have representation from the ministers from Nigeria, Mozambique, Lesotho, Sierra Leone, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Senegal, Cameroon, and the Central African Republic. I'll give a big round of applause to all of them. But now, Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, we'd love to hear your words to these young people, the agripreneurs who've been waiting to hear from all of you. What is your message to them?
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, here on the high table we have three Nigerians. The AU Deputy Secretary General, Amina J. Mohammed, and of course, Mrs. Nardos Bekele Thomas, the Chairman Executive Officer of AUDA Nepal. So it's not very unusual. 1 out of every 4 black men is a Nigerian. And by the end of the century, Nigeria will be the most populous nation on earth. But the most striking thing about this gathering, about our youth, has to do with the fact that the Asian tigers are aging. China is aging. And the trajectory of global growth is facing Africa. And you, seated here, will make or mar that transition. The future belongs to Africa. The average age of the Nigerian nation is 16.9. 230 million people, projected to be the third most populous nation on earth by 2050. But I'm not afraid of tomorrow. The anticipated demographic bulge that some people are expecting it to turn into a demographic disaster, no. We are going to turn it into demographic dividends. I celebrate you. I urge you. I beseech you. Youth are the key drivers of change. I want to celebrate the minister from Togo. Even your president belongs to the youthful generation. But here in our midst is another outstanding lady. She's the Commissioner for Environment in Kwara State. She is 28 years old. Her name is Nepisa Buge. Kindly stand up for recognition. Kwara State is in north-central Nigeria. Half of the cabinet in Kwara State are made up of women. 70% are below the age of 35. So there are interesting developments happening across the African continent. And a nation that is prepared for the future is not known by the promises it makes, but by the place it gives to its youth and women in shaping these promises. Whether in the private or public sector, the clearest measure of a society's foresight lies in the empowerment of its young people. To see African youth leading the charge in this essential sector speaks more eloquently than any speech. It testifies to our collective readiness to secure a seamless succession of not just our food security structures, but the very ideas that keep them alive. Again, we are mightily proud of you. And the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program, the Kampala Declaration signed by our heads of state in Uganda, is more than just a framework. It is the voice of a continent that refuses to be a footnote in the global story. This is the thinking of a people who, beyond merely waking to the threats around them, understand the fragility of food and nutrition security, and have chosen not to be caught in the rain unprepared. In Nigeria, we have marched begin with decisive action. Following the declaration of a state of emergency on food security by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our young people, who constitute about 70% of our population, have not just been included, they have been promoted across the governance spectrum, infused with institutional memory and tasked with confronting our historic deficiencies in food systems with bold, solution-driven policies. As I have said earlier, the whole mantra is on increase in yield. And in Africa, we have no business being poor. There is hardly any crop that you can't grow in Africa. There are certain parts of Nigeria that are so fertile that if you can grow money, it can grow. If you can plant money, it can grow. And the so-called Asian success stories, it's not that they have two heads, no. It's just deliberate, decisive action. Indonesia has 28 million hectares under palm oil cultivation. They are trying to increase it by 12 million by 2030. They generated $28 billion last year from the export of oil palm alone. We can do it in Togo. We can do it in Benin Republic. And I want to applaud the government of Ethiopia. They are doing excellently well. They are exporting $2 billion worth of coffee this year. They are doing very well in avocado, and most importantly, in strengthening their food system, so that we don't need to beg to survive. Our youth, seated here, can drive that change. On April 15, 2025, Nigeria inaugurated the Agricultural Sector Working Group to coordinate national implementation of the Kampala Declaration. This group, comprised of stakeholders across the agri-food ecosystem, supports a unified national response, ensuring our actions are rooted in synergy and sustainability. A technical committee has also been established to develop a 10-year strategic action plan, aligning national and subnational efforts with the continental vision and embedding strong youth engagement in core. We are also building institutions to sustain these ambitions. The National Agricultural Land Development Agency and the National Agricultural Development Fund have been established to provide technical and financial support aimed at improving food availability, accessibility, and affordability. Beyond budgetary allocations, we are leveraging institutions like the Bank of Industry and SMEDAN to promote agribusiness among youth, women, and vulnerable groups. Our Bank of Agriculture, that has a very dynamic leadership. I hope Sotirin is around here. Mr. Sotirin, please come forward, please, for recognition. He's a wonderful gentleman, infused with a lot of vision and ideas. The Nigerian government just gave him 1.5 billion naira to empower the youth. 1.5 trillion naira equals $1 billion. We are going. And he's a very brilliant agribusiness participant. He is in the field. So he's not somebody that we brought from the stratosphere to come and chair the Bank of Agriculture, but somebody with the skill set, with the experience and exposure to drive the process. So, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take too much of your time, but we are prepared to support you. You're not too young to rule law. As head of law, the holding age for political office holders to 25, and with it, the barriers to youth participation in governance has been eliminated. You have to be in the room. As Franz Fanon said, every onlooker is either a coward or a traitor. You have to be involved in governance. You have to drive the process, because you know the problems of the youth better than I am. I am an old man of 58. Now, 58 is the new middle age anyway, so, but I still feel young. So I'm still one of you. And no country can transform alone. I call on the United Nations and the African Union to strengthen inclusive policy frameworks that support equitable and resilient agri-food systems across Africa. This is not a sprint. It is a generational relay that requires collective action, strategic partnerships, and an unwavering commitment to shared responsibility. As we depart from this summit, let us embrace critical thinking. Let us interrogate the gaps in our systems and challenge ourselves to do more. Let us harness our comparative advantages. And above all, let us mobilize our greatest asset, our youth, to transform Africa's agri-food future. What binds us together supersedes whatever that divides us. Whether from South Africa, or from Uganda or Togo or Nigeria. We are bound by our common challenges of destitution and poverty. This is what we should fight, not to fight one another. Thank you, and may God bless us all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Vice President Shetima. And he said we've no business being poor as Africans. You see that Nigerian energy, the giants of Africa. Nigeria, no, they carry last. No, they carry last. Okay, the DSG is already responding to that, so it's your chance to say something.
And when we know they carry last, it's because the women just won the Africa Football Cup, so we know they carry last. Your Excellency, our Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I think he set a standard bar there, and I'm not going to attempt to get over it, but you asked me what are the messages here, and so I'm going to put down my speech and really just first of all thank the organizers for putting together what would be an intergenerational dialogue. We have to have that discussion, and those of us that are Africans know well that that's a dialogue that is long overdue. We have traditions and cultures of leadership that we look to with wisdom, but these days as we're getting older and we are getting more young people on the continent, 70% I believe is our population, what we need to see is a life cycle that really feeds the youngest with the most energetic visions to carry forward. And perhaps a generation now where we say, at least I can say my generation's a little bit older than his generation, we don't compete. What we do is we add value. And we add value to that conversation, we add value to the different sorts of leadership that are expected on the continent to carry us forward. And it is because when everybody says that the world's not going to develop and is not going to succeed with the SDGs without Africa, it's because of the young people. It is because of the energy and the potentials that we have here. We are still holding up half the world, and we would like to do that with seriousness and with purpose. It's really up here, you've got leaders, the African Union is here, and it's here both in what sets our policy and our framing, which we need because that's what we do to engage in a global world. But we've also got the practicality of NADOS and what we do for infrastructure, for which we are very far short of. We're talking about food in this summit, and it is important, and I think that this intergenerational dialogue will take it from farm to the plate. And it's a massive constituency, a massive opportunity. But let me say two things. Context matters. And on the continent, if we don't understand the context of when we're which, and that we have to deal with, it's not going away, we have to participate in that, just as the Vice President has said. We have one of conflict. And those conflicts can be resolved by young people who are drawn into conflicts and are used as fodder for much of the wars that we see. You can say no. You say no to bad leadership, say no to conflict. So there is a role to play there at the local level where conflicts are raging and you are taking the burden of and losing a future because of it. So that's one thing we have to deal with. We're challenged by what we would say in some cases are broken democracies. If a democracy is not working for you, you're not voting. And so when we look at the demographics of the voting trends in Africa, young people are not voting. And if they're not voting, then they don't believe in the leadership. But at the same time, if you don't vote, then you can't have your say. You can't tackle the public institutions, you can't tackle the parliaments that have to deliver on that. So while we see in some parts of our country what are deemed as popular coups, we need to question democracy. We need to question leadership and followership. We need to question the institutions that underpin them. We need to question what it is that we celebrate. When we see some of our leaders, we celebrate them. Should we be? Should we be? We need to look in the mirror and understand what is the integrity, what is the moral standing and the values that we want to see in leadership, in our democracies, in our institutions. It's a context that we have to deal in, because many people talk about our enabling environment. Our enabling environment is tough. And it's tough because we are dealing with these contexts where public institutions are failing us, and as a result, people are losing trust in the contract between leaders and their followership. So we have to deal with that. That's not going to come outside of the business that you do in food or education or whatever that you take up. The last but not least is that climate is real. The climate change and the climate crisis is very real. And for that, we have to we have to find ways to adapt. 70–80% of our populations are going to be in cities by 2050. And if that's the case, then the planning that has to be done now has to think about that adaptation. We've seen it, the Vice President comes from a part of Nigeria where the climate crisis is dire. It has fueled conflict, but it has also fueled a loss of livelihoods by the hundreds and thousands, and possibly impacting millions around the region. So the conflict in your context, the challenge to democracies and public institutions, and the climate crisis that we have to adapt to, particularly in Africa. We need to partner, and I speak about genuine partnerships. The partnerships need to start with you and your own constituencies, at the local level, at the regional level, and at the global level, reaching across the borders. It's easier for you to do as young people today because of technology. You work at it better than we do, and how you have those partnerships across constituencies and across levels of government is really important. Young people at the local level need to be partnering with young people who are at national level, who are at regional level. You can't just be stuck in your silos, because it is the bulk of our youth are at the local level, and we need to have that handshake within your generation as we have the intergenerational conversation. There are 3 issues that we've said, and I want to put on your radar, that need to be tackled. And if you tackle them as the arrowhead of where investments should go, I think that we will make huge impact in Africa. Of course, it requires financial institutions and imagining how we can bring innovative finance to leverage the domestic resources we have. It is investing in food systems. It's making sure you power them with renewable energy and that you connect them with AI and the new technology that we have. If we have the 3 of these, we will see SMEs explode across the continent, your unicorns will grow, but we will also see financial services connected. We will see the ability for people to have extension work online. They don't have to go to a school hundreds of kilometers away. And we will also see that this is not about commerce in a shop, it's e-commerce. So let's use the technology to leapfrog, because this is the generation that's going to take it forward. And I do believe that you are about the future, but your future starts now. And what you do today is what will end up paving the way for, as we say, unborn generations. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, DSG. This is going to be an intergenerational dialogue, but she mentioned the African Union, and we've got the commissioner here and the CEO of AUDANEPAD. So just your quick remarks before we open it up to these young agripreneurs who've got some things to say.
Thank you very much, Moderator, Excellencies, distinguished guests and delegates, African youth, the owners of this event. On behalf of the African Union Commission, it is my pleasure to be part of this engagement, particularly as we look at Africa's next generation youth agri-food entrepreneurs in direct dialogue with African leaders, in particular in the context of the CAADP Kampala Declaration. I just want to highlight some opportunities which I see which are abound in Africa. We have one of the youngest population in the world, 60% of the population being below 25, and soon I will be having a minister, I'm sure, will be 18 to 25. And the agri-food systems will surpass USD 1 trillion by 2030, because we have got abundant land and natural resources which are a blessing to us all. More than that, we also have the AFCFTA. So Africa is not a continent of scarcity. It is a land of boundless opportunities. And the youth are Africa's greatest assets. And as a continent, none of our development aspirations can be achieved without meaningful engagement of the youth. So the African Union has long recognized this potential, such that it has put in some policies in place. One of these is Agenda Aspiration 6 of the Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. This one envisions an Africa whose development is people-driven, harnessing the full potential of its people, especially its youth and women. So there is that policy framework. This is also reflected through our initiatives that we launched Let me give you one other example. We have a 1 million Next Level initiative, which was launched in 2023. The Commission aspires to create opportunities at least for 300 million young people in 5 priority areas. One is education, the other one is employment, the third one is entrepreneurship, the fourth one is engagement, and the other one is on well-being. So if we come to our space, which is the agri-food system space, we have developed the Kampala CAADP Strategy and Action Plan, which looks at 2026 to 2035, under strategic objective number 4 on advancing inclusivity and equitable livelihoods. Our heads of states and governments committed to empower at least 30% of Africa's youth in the agri-food systems by 2035. This reaffirms the collective resolve to transform Africa's food systems through inclusive, resilient, and sustainable approaches with youth and women at the center. And it builds on the foundations of the CAADP Malabo while setting renewed agenda for investment, innovation, and accountability. Now, so with this potential, we need to start saying we change from potential to real impact. And we are saying, as the youth, you are the one to lead the process. You are the one who can advise us accordingly, because the framework is already there. And as AU, we want to ensure that there is continued engagement of young people in policy dialogues and decision-making processes at continental, regional, and national level. We want to give the youth the voice, and we want to say nothing for the youth without the youth. These are very, very important. And we want to also track progress and guide policy adjustments all the time by strengthening the use of performance monitoring tools to ensuring accountability as well as continuous improvement. Let me conclude by saying to the youth in this room, and even somewhere in Africa, you are not just the future of Africa's food systems. You are shaping it today. Your energy, your creativity, your resilience are driving innovation across Africa's food systems. What you need now is trust, investment, and platforms to grow your impact. As African leaders, our role is clear: to match your ambition with bold policies, your solutions with resources, and your voice with decision-making power. Our collective vision, as guided by Kampala declarations, is to create agri-food systems that empower communities, foster resilience, and ensure sustainability, with you right at the heart of it all. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And we'll hear some brief remarks from Ms. Bekele Thomas as well before we hand it back to the youth.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, my sister and my brother-in-law, and also the Commissioner. Most importantly, the young ones, you, the future, the present, you, the young ones, who are a source of wealth, prosperity for Africa, the future, the hope of Africa. Good afternoon. Well, when I was told to come here, I just said, well, this is where we should be. Actually, this is where everything happens. It's a gathering not only of minds and just voices, but it's a gathering of potential, it's a gathering of power, it's a gathering of purpose. And that's why we need to have these conversations, so that we understand you. I remember in 2022, when I had the Pan-African Congress gathering, and then we were talking about empowerment of the youth. And the youth came up and they said, no, don't talk about empowerment. We are the energy of Africa. And therefore, we want Energize Africa to be the title of our cooperation and of our collaboration and of our co-creation of our programs. That's why in the African Union Development Agency, we came with the program that we called Energize Africa. It's not just new. It's just a platform where we put the youth, at the center, where we converse and we try to listen and understand the needs. They said, listen, we need to be the policy decision makers. We do not believe in policies that are made by you, the old ones. I mean, old ones, I don't want to be called old ones, but that's what they framed me. And they said, we want to be integrated in the public sector. And therefore, this Energize Africa, the first component, is trying to see on how to skill the youth so that they are integrated in the public sector to make policies that are meaningful to the young ones. The second one they said is, listen, we have got all these innovation hubs, accelerator hubs, empowerment programs, but we want something that would really have meaning to us. We need you to set standards of these programs, because at times they are programs, but they're skeleton programs. They are laconic, they are myopic, they don't really respond to our needs. And therefore, setting standards of these programs and, innovation hubs, accelerators hubs, has been one of our major preoccupations since then. The third one is, of course, they say, you say you help the MSMEs, youth-led businesses, but you give us 50,000 and you think you're helping us. We need a judicious mix of all ingredients that we need to start our businesses, but also to thrive in this very, hostile environment. And we want to be the solution. When there is a problem, we will come out with the homegrown solutions, because we have got the innovative minds, we have the creative minds. And that's what we are doing. Through the presidential innovative thing, we are, actually giving some funds to those that come with innovative solutions to their socioeconomic environment. These are the things that we are doing. And using the digital space and the digital, technologies and this advancement that we see, we have come out with the Akili AI program. If you want to Google it, you can Google it. Akili AI gives the training, gives everything, coaching, and whatever you need in terms of starting business and running a business in a language that you want, in any African language. You can do it in any rural areas, and they will give you the coaching and the training. These are among the many things that we have done. And, we are here to listen to you so that we can pick this and translate them together with you into a program that could serve us all. We are not serving you, you are serving us. And I want to say, really, young ones, bravo. Bravo to you. You have really thrived against all odds, and we count on you to make Africa the Africa you want it to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I heard a couple of words that resonate with these young people. You all use the word voice, agency, that this is the time for Africa's youth, and you are here to listen to them and to be in dialogue with them. I want to introduce you to a dynamic young man from Kenya. Charles Oyamo is the founder of Rethread Africa. This is a climate tech startup that transforms agricultural waste into biodegradable alternatives. And now you are going to tell us how you started your business. How did you start? Tell us about your journey.
So I am Charles Oyamo. I'm a 27-year-old entrepreneur from Kenya. I am the founder and CEO of Rethread Africa, where we turn agricultural waste into biomaterials, enabling smallholder farmers to increase their income by 30%. You see, I grew up in Rongo, a small sugarcane farming village in the Kenyan-Tanzanian border. I'm a son of a smallholder farmer. I have seen from my grandparents to my parents, each generation of farmers poorer than the one before them. Yet, these same farmers are the hardest working, resilient people I have known all my life. So as a young boy, I was very unsure of what I wanted to do when I grew up. But looking back, there was one thing that I was very certain about. I never wanted to be a smallholder farmer. Unfortunately, the reason back then is still true today. Smallholder farmers are simply the poorest people we know. Smallholder farming is the job for the people who didn't go to school.
Did you all hear that? That he didn't want to be a smallholder farmer because the perception and the experience was that smallholder farmers were some of the poorest people we know. But we know that that's not actually true. Now we have the potential to even scale up. You are doing it. How?
So this is why we built Rethread. Thank you, Nadine. Ideally, what Rethread does is we take sugarcane bagasse, the fibro material that remains behind when farmers have already harvested their cane and processed it for sugar. And in the lab, we use microbes or bacteria to convert this waste into biomaterials. These biomaterials can be used in the food packaging industry, but even more interestingly, it has been used in the fashion industry. We have worked with global fashion brands. Think of Ralph Lauren, Hugo Boss, and even Stella McCartney.
You've gone international. Did you ever imagine that? What resources did you use to get there? And what were the challenges in raising the tools that would enable this global footprint that you are now starting to create? Quickly, Charles.
Yeah, so the tools, we worked from the laboratory at the University of Nairobi for the last 3 years. We've been able to develop the solution of the technology. We have 2 patents to back it up. The biggest challenge for us right now has been regulation is an important part of any business. But for a small business that's not yet profitable and not yet commercially viable, every single month, our biggest check is written to the government. If we could get tax breaks for small businesses like ours, we are still in R&D. We are not commercial. It makes no sense for us to give government money. Government should be giving us money.
So relaxing the tax framework to be nimble and understand the challenges of people like Charles are not the same as a well-established multinational or national corporation. Thank you very much, Charles. Isn't that amazing? Aristine Mendes is from Dakar, and she is a fish farmer. But she's not just a fish farmer, she is a founder and CEO of Shadai Aquaculture in Senegal, a trailblazing company. She launched it at just, fasten your seatbelts, you think you're all trailblazers and high achievers, she launched it at just 19 years old. Aristine, congratulations. Tell us what you do.
Hi everybody, I'm Aristine Mendes, I'm from Senegal, a biologist who produces fish feeds. And I'm going to speak in French.
Absolutely.
OK.
That's the richness of our continent.
Great.
Go for it.
Alors, j'ai commencé il y a de cela 5 ans, je n'avais que 19 ans, et je produis de l'aliment pour poissons que j'ai moi-même formulé pour répondre aux besoins locaux, tout en étant 40% moins cher que l'aliment qui est importé.
What were some of the challenges that did you finish your opening statement?
Yes.
Okay. What were some of the challenges that you faced along the way as you tried to adopt this innovative approach, as you tried to create sustainable, locally driven feed industry?
Alors, j'ai commencé avec un financement que j'ai reçu d'un programme privé et c'était très difficile. J'avais mes formules, j'avais mes matières premières, j'avais mes machines, mais j'étais incapable de produire parce que je suis biologiste et pas ingénieur en électromécanique. J'ai perdu une année tout entière où je payais le loyer, les salaires, l'électricité sans pouvoir produire parce que je ne maîtrisais pas le processus de production de mes machines. Le marché est très grand et quand je suis arrivée à stabiliser tout cela et à pouvoir produire, la demande était plus grande que ce à quoi je m'attendais et mes machines n'ont pas pu tenir, elles ont été gâtées. J'avais juste besoin de $10 000 pour résoudre le problème et continuer, mais aucune banque ne faisait confiance à une jeune de 23 ans et aucun programme public ne répondait à ma demande. J'ai dû tout arrêter, fermer l'entreprise, aller chercher du travail, avoir assez de fonds pour reprendre.
Well, Aristine has given you some homework. You've got your work cut out for you, the obstacles that she faced along the way. And I know that you ran out of money at some point. The machine needed to be fixed. You went back to find employment so you can breathe some life into your business again. Nobody should have to go through that when you yourself are trying to create employment for so many young people. But I think what stands out...
I'm sorry to interrupt you 1 second because we have to excuse Vice President Shetima because he's got to run.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Vice President, we know you have the next thing coming up. Stay as long as you want to, whenever you have to go. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Aristine. We appreciate your input. Let us now hear from Dr. Idi Mohamed Farid. He's a biomedical scientist and CEO of CAADP Technology. CAADP Technology is an agri-business startup, but he'll tell us more about what they do. I just thought this was such a creative idea. Tell us about your business. What do you do?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Idi Mohamed Farid. I'm a 29-year-old biomedical scientist from the northern region of Ghana, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of CAADP Technology. So at CAADP Technology, what we do is we turn banana and plantain waste into affordable and eco-friendly sanitary pads. So the journey all began when my team and I discovered that in the cultivation of banana and plantains, anytime you harvest the fruit, you must always cut it down to the sucker level to allow the young ones grow. So we embarked on a research in finding out ways we could utilize those wasted resources. That was when we discovered that the waste had a very high absorbency of fluid. So on one fateful day, we visited one of the farms where we sourced these raw materials from, and we found a young girl who was in her period, but unfortunately, instead of her being in school, she was at home because she couldn't afford menstrual hygiene materials. So that prompted us to push further, and we did a research in the school where she attended, where we found out that more than 90% of girls in the school, they always stay at home anytime they are in their period, missing out on quality school education. And according to the headmaster, most of them resort to the use of unhealthy alternatives, like the use of rags, tissues, and leaves anytime they are in their period, which has a long-term effect, like cervical cancer and even contact dermatitis. So these are the reasons why we pushed for the business. But what gets me even more excited about my company is the fact that we have been able to change the perception that African food systems can go beyond just feeding people, but can also solve critical social issues. So
how did the producers of the food, of the plantain, react to that very inspired idea?
Okay.
And also you were intervening to help them deal with the waste that comes out. How did they collaborate with you?
Wow, so thank you very much again. So we've unlocked a new revenue stream for some of these farmers because this was often discarded. Some used to even burn some of these waste. But now we pay for these raw materials, and they are the most important people in our production cycle, because without these banana and plantain farmers, we can't produce these sanitary pads, and without these sanitary pads, most of these young girls will still stay at home and will miss out on achieving some of their aims in life.
Okay, your one idea. These leaders are sitting here, they're listening to you. What is the one thing that you think they could do to make life easy for another Idi Mohamed Farid from Ghana, from Kenya, from South Africa, from Dakar, from everywhere in Africa?
Okay, so I want to agree with what my brother Charles said. Most of our funding, most of our expenses comes from taxation. And we are just a youth-led startup solving a critical issue. So I believe that I'm not just only representing CAADP Technology here, but I'm representing numerous startups, youth-led startups in Ghana, in Africa. So I believe that some of our governments and some of our leaders should ease off some of these taxes to enable us achieve some of our goals, because we are indirectly solving not just food issue, but also critical social issues. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And our last from this first installment, the first cohort of young people, is Digne Nedia Mpo Itoa. She's going to be addressing us in French, so you can start getting your gadgets ready. She's a PhD candidate. So these young people are also educated. A PhD candidate in Agri-Food sciences, a researcher in food biochemistry and microbiology, and founding president of EDBS Services, an innovative company that transforms cassava into over 20 high nutritional value products. Tell us about your journey.
La République du Congo engorge en ce jour un grand nombre d'entrepreneurs.
Speak a little louder, yes? Carry on, please.
Un grand nombre d'entrepreneurs dans le secteur agroalimentaire dont je fais partie, j'en fais partie également en tant que chercheur, mais mon histoire ne commence pas en tant que chercheur dans la science. Je suis née dans une famille transformatrice de manioc de manière artisanale. J'ai commencé à faire le manioc depuis l'âge de 10 ans Mes mains ont appris à pétrir, presser, cuire la chikwang. Un accompagnement ancestral du Congo. Ces gestes transmis d'une mère à sa fille m'ont façonné. Aujourd'hui, je transforme ce patrimoine culinaire en solution d'avenir sous la gamme Edna Manioc, dont vous pourrez voir ici, avec plusieurs produits en République du Congo. Edna Manioc est né d'un constat d'urgence, la malnutrition, qui gagne nos campus, nos villes, nos villages, non pas faute de ressources, mais à cause d'une monotonie alimentaire imposée par les importations, le gaspillage post-récolte massif et surtout le manque de valorisation des matières premières locales comme le manioc. Notre entreprise est donc une réponse scientifique, culturelle et sociale à ce défi. Elle incarne la valorisation de nos recherches universitaires sur le manioc et elle fait émerger une nouvelle vision, celle d'une Afrique qui se nourrit elle-même dignement, sainement et durablement.
Thank you so much. What would you like the leaders here to take home with them as they try? What would you like to see them do to ensure that businesses such as yours and young people, young African agri-entrepreneurs are successful?
Ce que je veux dans tout cela, c'est que nous militons pour des écosystèmes ancrés dans nos cultures, enrichis par la science, portés par la jeunesse et structurés autour d'une chaîne de valeurs stratégiques comme celle du manioc que nous développons. Nos ambitions sont claires. Construire une Afrique résiliente et souveraine dans l'esprit de la ZLICAF et des engagements politiques mondiaux en faveur des systèmes alimentaires durables. Pour clore, je dirais, je crois, en reconnectant nos assiettes à nos racines et nos savoirs à notre sol, nous bâtirons une Afrique nourricière de demain. Je vous remercie.
Thank you so much. That deserves a round of applause.
The African Union is still here. You all want to respond real quick? Because we have to do a call to action from the young people, but I think if you want to have quick responses, you heard from Dr. Mohammed, for instance, complaining about taxes. It's the same thing Charles was upset about.
And we still have some leaders, sorry Larry,
Yes.
we still have some leaders on the floor. Indicate by a show of hands if there is something that stood out for you that you want to respond to, an issue that was raised by the young people that you want to address. It's a dialogue, we were listening. What is the reaction from our esteemed leaders?
And I should mention that we also have the ministers from Burkina Faso and Rwanda in the room as well.
Thank you very much. This is really enlightening. I think the key is to look at the policies that we are having, which is what us as African Union Commission were talking about, because the issue is about taxation that has been raised in here. But, you know, the Minister of Finance will say it can only get some of these from the business entrepreneurs. Yet, we then forget that you are creating jobs, you are already into social issues that are affecting the countries. I think as a commission, we can only advise honorable ministers from the various member states that let's relook at our policies, the ones that are inhibiting the growth of SMEs, the growth of business entrepreneurs. I like the issue of, I can't remember the individual who said he never wanted to be a smallholder, because I think we need to be thinking big and scalable so that we can achieve more. That is basically what we need to be doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think, you know, the taxation policy goes deeper because it depends on the services that governments render to you. If you get the services that you think are beneficial to you and to your families, to the community, then, the tax that you pay, is really, actually a viable instrument for this. So you will not be as harsh to the finance minister or to the revenue collection authority. But the problem in Africa is that you don't get the services that you need, and yet you have to pay, and that is not, I think, it's not a fair and just system. And what we need to really look at, I'm not talking about my agency now, we really need to look as Africans on how to facilitate everything so that it's beneficial to all. Public services should be reformed, and public services should be, at, the service of their citizens. And if that is the case, then taxes will not be as cumbersome and as burdensome as they sound to be. So I will, stop this because, saying that you don't pay tax is not the right thing, but, what do you get for the tax that you pay is the question that we should ask. I am very, very impressed by the two young ones, and, really that is what we want to promote. That is, this energy, this creativity, this innovative mind, if applied, will give us the solutions to our socioeconomic challenges. And this is what you're doing. Look at what you've done, the parts that you have fabricated from the waste. This is exemplary. So I think, this is what we are promoting under our program called the Homegrown Solutions. And we give to people that come out with innovative ideas some grants, and, to help them, in the delivery of their services to the society, but with applying the business principles. It's a business. It's not free. So I want to say thank you very much. Please look up at our website, Homegrown Solutions, and where there are sectors which are of interest to you, there is a call for proposal, just be bold enough to do that.
All right, thank you. And I should thanks a lot, Mr. Kele Thomas. Sorry, I'm going to just jump in here real quick, because I really want to hear from Minister Mila Aziable from Togo, because she's been sitting here throughout. 2 minutes, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So my name is Mila Aziable. I'm 34 years old, so I think I'm still in your club, right? So I've been appointed as minister at 29, first in charge of energy and mines, and now I'm serving as Minister of Water and Sanitation. So I'm really happy to be here and hear from all of you. So first of all, I just want to thank the UN for creating this space. I think it's really important to have this space where young voices like you, entrepreneur, can be heard, but also can be valued. So it's really important. Thank you. Thank you for all those leaders who open doors for young voice, young people participation. So I think a lot of things has been said already, but I just want to congratulate you. I know that I'm speaking with doers, not dreamers.
Right.
You are already taking risks. You are already building your businesses. So respect for that. You are here from many of you. I would like to hear from all of you and share maybe a little of my experience, but we don't have time for that. But I think that very soon we can have the opportunity to speak more. So I just want to, if you are here, I think it's because you are brilliant, smart, talented, determined, and engaged. Right. So I think it's important to hear your voices, not only in processing or producing. I think your role goes far beyond producing and processing. If you are here today, it's because I think we need you in the strategy making, in governance, in decision making. So I think if we build this system, this food system without you, it won't be efficient,
Right.
right? And it is not the Africa we want. So I want to encourage you to make your presence count at every level. So show up, speak up, and keep pushing, not only to grow your businesses, but to take place in strategy, governance, and try to build a policy which work for you. Because we are not building this food system for future generation. It's for you, it's for me, it's for us.
Right.
So it's important that you be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister Ziabla. Thanks a lot. Ready?
We have our last item for the afternoon, and it is a call to action from the young people of Africa, the young agri-entrepreneurs. Mwaka Namukonda is the executive coordinator of the first ever youth-led consortium endorsed by the African Union. That's the Consortium of African Youth in Agriculture and Climate. She's from Zambia. She's a PhD candidate as well. So you see these impressive young people who have the option to hop on a plane and go and work across the Atlantic in other parts of the world, but they are staying on this continent and investing with their brains, with their passions, and with their heart. And she champions youth employment and innovation in Africa's agri-food systems. Joining Mwaka will be Giscard Katala, who is 21 years old, a fifth-year medical student from the DRC. He is the CEO of KTL. This is a company that produces, wait for it, mayonnaise in the DRC, organic mayonnaise. They've got a call to action, and I'd like us to please listen to them as we conclude. Mwaka and Giscard, let's go.
Merci de m'avoir donné la parole. Je suis honoré de partager l'appel à l'action des jeunes Africains pour des systèmes alimentaires inclusifs et prospères. Avec une population africaine qui devra atteindre 2,5 milliards d'habitants d'ici 2050, la demande alimentaire est en constante augmentation, soulignant ainsi donc l'urgence d'accroître la production agricole, la productivité, la transformation et le commerce des produits alimentaires, tout en préservant l'environnement qui soutient ces systèmes. Plus de 75% de la population africaine a moins de 35 ans, ce qui fait de nous non seulement des bénéficiaires des systèmes alimentaires plus durables, inclusifs et résilients, mais aussi des principaux moteurs clés. Nous n'attendons pas simplement que les changements arrivent, nous les faisons advenir. Nous sommes audacieux, connectés et animés par la volonté de transformer les systèmes agroalimentaires africains. Il est donc temps de reconnaître cette génération émergente de jeunes agro-entrepreneurs africains, dont certains sont présents avec nous dans cette salle aujourd'hui. Nous, la nouvelle génération d'agro-entrepreneurs à travers l'Afrique, unis notre vision d'un continent prospère et garantissant la sécurité alimentaire, appelons les gouvernements, le partenaire de développement, les institutions financières et tous les acteurs à prendre des mesures urgentes et coordonnées pour libérer le plein potentiel de jeunes agroalimentaires africains que nous sommes. Nous exigeons la mise en place de mécanismes de financement favorables à la jeunesse, offrant un crédit accessible, abordable et adapté aux jeunes, afin de stimuler l'innovation et l'entrepreneuriat dans l'agriculture. Les institutions financières doivent être intentionnelles dans la conception des produits financiers répondant aux réalités et aux ambitions des jeunes agripreneurs. Thank you.
Furthermore to what my brother has just shared, we call for youth to fully be engaged in CAADP processes at national and regional levels. Youth should not just be consulted, but should actively participate in shaping, implementing, and reviewing our African food systems agenda through robust accountability mechanisms on progress in engaging us, the African youth agri-entrepreneurs. We call for our government's commitments to to supporting the establishment of a youth advisory panel at country level, which will annually review the level of empowerment of African youth agri-entrepreneurs, including the effectiveness of economic opportunities created for them and with them. We urge you to design and implement policies that enhance our access to regional and international markets, empowering us to scale up our agri-food businesses and compete globally. Under the African Continental Free Trade Area, African agriculture is poised to unlock $1 trillion in agribusiness potential by 2030. The continent's urban food market alone is projected to reach $150 billion, positioning Africa as a key player in reshaping global food systems. We, the African young agripreneurs, we want to be empowered to claim our share of the continent's booming agri-food markets. Our efforts are not only driving inclusive economic growth, but also contributing to food security, job creation, and climate resilience across Africa. We insist on meaningful inclusion in food systems, policy formulation, and decision-making at all levels, be it local, national, regional, continental. We want to be there. Our voices, ideas, and leadership must be recognized as key drivers of transformation. Finally, my leaders in this room and those who will get to see this, we, the people in here, African agri-entrepreneurs, we are the ones holding the future of Africa. Please invest in us, and we promise we shall deliver. Thank you.
I think the youth agri-food entrepreneurs are already delivering, and it is my hope that there are lessons learned from today to create more space, more time to truly listen and to truly engage. I must say, in the interest of transparency, we still had a cohort of young people who had questions that they wished to pose, but unfortunately, as happens with these summits, some of the leaders had to go speak at other forums. But their questions matter, their reality matters, and I would also then be an activist for just a moment and urge our organizations that claim to speak on our names, to take seriously the presence of these young people and create more space for dialogue for them. And in this way, we end the session Driving Africa's Food Systems Future, Next-Gen Agri-Food Entrepreneurs in Dialogue with African Leaders. Thank you. Your Excellency wants to make a comment before we close.
Real quick.
Not actually a comment, but a commitment. You know, the CAADP process without the youth will not be a process. And therefore, we commit that where we are now, in the domestication of the CAADP process, the youth would be involved, and, you know, we would be in touch with you. The Youth Advisory Panel, you know, youth policy is very critical, and we have to move from consultation to co-creation. And in this also, in our agency, the African Union Development Agency, which is your development agency, we would create a youth advisory panel that would help us in really co-creating our programs. And the agri-food markets, I would like to inform everybody that even in the infrastructure, it's not about the infrastructure, the big infrastructure programs, our PIDA programs. We're not talking about the kilometers of road that we create, but around it, we are creating an ecosystem, and that ecosystem, to be inclusive, we are making sure that the youth, you know, are in the value chain of this market. So, you know, that is a commitment, and, you know, we will be held responsible and accountable for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I gotta say, she was the first to get here. She stayed throughout the session and is the last to leave. A big round of applause for Ms. Nados Bekele. Thank you for staying back.
Thank you. We'd like to invite the youth that is in the front, the ones who spoke and had questions, to come to the front for a photo opportunity with the ministers who are still here. If you can just come to the front, the ministers will be here to interact with you, right in the front for a photo opportunity. Thank you.
All right, and that concludes our session. Thank you so much for your input. We'll see you at the Africa Food Systems Summit, I think. Yes.
There's another meeting starting, as is the nature of these summits. Please come forward as quickly as you can and organize yourself for the photo opportunity, if you can. Thank you.
Over here at the front. Oh.
The local use.
Follow